Hello, smart reader. Welcome to the Linguist Library. I'm Emily, and today we're talking about some of my favorite Penguin classics. Now, before we start, let me talk about today's sponsor, and that is our very own Linguist Book Club. If you haven't heard about it yet, make sure to check out all the perks and the tiers in the join button right next to the subscribe button, which you should have already hit. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to like this video. Now, let's jump straight into it because we have a lot of books on this pile, and that's not the only pile. We still have some on this side too. So let's get cracking. So I want to start by some of my latest editions, and this is Lady Susan, the Watson, and Sandition by the fantastic one and only Jane Austen. Now, Lady Susan and the Watsons are considered some of her juvenilia, and they were written during her happiest time. And Sandition was the last work that she worked on, and it's kind of unfinished, so it's not as well known as her main 6 novels. Now, I am dying to read this. It is going to be the first time I read it, and I'm so excited about it because I love everything about Jane Austen's world. I love her dialect. I call it a dialect because she uses it so often throughout her novel. There are certain expressions, certain Victorian expressions that she incorporates into her story, like a person of consequence or to be prevailed upon something. And I just love reading about her. I just love her prose. You really can't get much better than this. So, Jane Austen, absolute must-have. My second book on this pile is by a French author, Gaston Bacherlard, and this is The Poetics of Space. This is a nonfiction, and it's really about the craft of writing and how you can optimize space and your house in order to metaphorically express yourself and your feelings. So this was really instructional, educational, and if you're into writing, I highly recommend. So if you're seasoned, if you've been introduced to this channel before, you know that I talk with my hands, and I often just put the picture of the book that I'm talking about on the screen. If I talk too fast, you can also slow me down on the settings of this video. Now, the third book on our pile is by Charles Dickens, and I recently reread this. And I did it because of a research that I've been doing on the Brontes sisters, and I want to see just how much Charles Dickens was influenced by them. It's widely known that he was influenced by Charlotte Bronte, and I just want to see just how far, to what extent did they influence the man. I think Anne Bronte may have influenced his this novel particularly, in the way in which he starts. The opening of this novel really reminded me of Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte, in the way that he tells the reader, you will be the judge of my story, and whether or not I'm to be praised or blamed or whatnot. So another book on our pile is Henry James, The Turn of the Screw. This needs no introduction, possibly one of the greatest titles in the English language. I recently recommended a biography by an Irish author, Colm Toibin, called The Master. So it's a biography on Henry James, and it really gave me so much insight in his, to his life and to his mindset, and basically the setting in which he lived in. So I highly recommend, and also, look at the size of this puppy. You can get this done so quickly. It's just one of those, I think it's really, one of the things that I really love about the prose of this particular novel is how atmospheric it feels. It really gives you that unbearable tension, and it builds up so much haunting fear. I love it. Another one of my Penguins classics that I want to share is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This edition is with the 1818 original text. And, well, I mean, what can we talk about this canonical sci-fi piece of work? Next, we have Oscar Wilde, The Picture of Dorian Gray. Absolutely lyrical, magical prose. I think that perhaps one of the only authors that gave me the impression that I was reading a ton of cliches, and then I realized, oh, no. They weren't cliches when he wrote them. I think perhaps only Shakespeare may have had as many one-liners or sound bites introduced into the English language quite as much as Oscar Wilde did. Just reading the first 100 pages of feels like basically all of the wit combined, all of the wit available in the language combined within the first 100 pages. Very witty, very sarcastic, great sound bites. Another one, and this is a classic, an ancient classic. One of the only ones that I have in English from this era. So I have Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Now, I bought this particular book a really long time ago because I tend to read this in little snippets. I don't like to plow through it like it's a novel, a piece of fiction. It is not. The very title of it tells you to meditate, right? These are meditations. And yeah, that's what I like to do with them. I like to meditate. One of the things that I really don't hear enough about is how the book starts. I really love that book one is entirely dedicated to the people who taught him life lessons, important lessons, like his grandfather, his father, his grandmother, his mother. It's incredible how grateful he feels to all of the people who contributed to the formation of his character. And we're talking about the most powerful men on the planet at the time of when he wrote this. And he wrote it for his own leisure, to his own, perhaps to maintain his own sanity. So, I mean, just out of curiosity, everyone should read this. No? That's just me? Okay, never mind. So next we have Polybius, the Rise of the Roman Empire, another nonfiction. This is historical. And perhaps one of the first historians of the West, I would say. Thoroughly dense and very technical, but still enjoyable. I would still say that he can hold the reader's attention. He has a very confident voice. It's not authoritative, although it can be. He uses imperative a lot, but it is. It makes you feel comfortable. It makes you feel like the person telling the story or writing the novel knows what they're doing and has something to say, and it's a well thought out story. That's the impression you get. Now, the next one is Plato, and I have a few of Plato's work, but this by the one for this video, the Black Spine Penguin, is The Republic. And next I have Moonstone, The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins, Charles Dickens' good friend, and a overshadowed figure in the mystery world. I really enjoy The Woman in White, and I have it, but I have it in a different cloth-bound collection. But yeah, if you're into mystery, I think Wilkie Collins has one of the most beautiful English of the genre. If you're into beautiful prose, you should, and you're into mystery, it's a great combo. Now, another, I think probably the last one of our Black Spines is Middlemarch by George Eliot, the Mighty. And what can be said about this fantastic canonical piece of work. I think that if we look at the first part of this novel, because it feels like two different novels, if we look at the first part of this novel, we have a very profound writer who is not afraid to shatter perceptions, I think. And now my other Penguin classics aren't black spines, but they should also be mentioned because they are amazing. The first one is Honoré de Balzac, and the English title can be both Father Goriot or Old Goriot or Père Goriot if you're going for the French one. But this is about a father and his daughters and the limit to which his kindness and generosity will be taken if he sets no boundaries. So this is for the givers. If you're a giver and you need to learn how to establish boundaries, maybe read this. It'll help you. This collection was discontinued for some odd reason. I think it was called the Red Classics, the Red Penguin Classics. But anyway, I also have their Orange Spines collection. This is Vanity Fair by William Makepeace Thackeray. And, the very sharp, the very witty, the very smart Becky Sharp. I don't know how I feel about actors on the covers of books, but I am very biased when it comes to Reese Witherspoon. I like her. So, I bought it anyway. I think the black spines are the most aesthetically pleasing. But if we are going for the most readable, of course, the Penguin Deluxe, the Penguin Classics Deluxe collection is just unbeatable. I mean, first you have this French flaps, and then you have the beautiful deckled edges, and then you have the floppy pages, and the quality of the page as well is so long-lasting. It really doesn't get yellowed quite as fast as their other ones used to do. Okay, so I have a question for you because I've been thinking about it for a while, and I want to know, who writes the best introductions? Let's talk about classics, but let's also talk about new releases. When you read the introduction of a novel, what are you looking for? And what are you hoping to find? Because personally, I think that one of the best introductions I've ever read are the ones that talk about the impact the novel had, either in its society or in literature itself. Let's talk about Jane Austen and her immortal novels. Let's talk about her life and the period in which the novel was written. But let's make it positive. Let's have it written by somebody who's passionate about the work or enjoys it and appreciates it. And it's going to make me appreciate it more. So, because think about it. I just took the time and made the effort to get this novel to me, and I'm now willing to make the time to read it. Shouldn't you want to entice me to do that? So I'm curious, who do you think writes the best introductions when we're talking about publishing houses? Is it Penguin's Classics, or is it Wordsworth Classics? I don't think so. Is it Oxford Classics, or maybe the Folio Society? Who has the best introductions? And which one can you remember that maybe stayed with you? I know one of the last introductions that I read that made an impression in me was from a Clarice Lispector novel. And it was about how her novel inspired a number of Brazilian musicians. And they even use her writing techniques to write their own lyrics. So that was awesome. And I thought, what a way to introduce a novel, right? The impact which it created transcended literature, and it bled into music. And that's just beautiful. but I'm an incorrigible romantic. Maybe that's just me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm planning on doing a lot more collections because I know you've been asking for bookshelf tours, but I have a shelf problem. I have way too many books and way too little shelves. We're going to get to that. It's going to happen. I'm trying to convince my husband to build me some good shelves because this furniture was, I'm not saying that it's rickety. I'm just saying that it wasn't bought for books. It was bought for crystals and vases. I love beautiful artistic vases and like flowers. So this is not meant for books. We're going to get to that. But anyway, thank you so much for staying until the end. If you haven't yet, don't forget to check out my community tab. I'm always posting quizzes, polls, pictures, all sorts of fascinating fun facts, memes, anything that strikes my fancy. But, I try to keep it entertaining. I think we're going to talk about Don Quixote very soon because as some of the members in the club already voted, and as some of you know, I speak Gallego, Portuguese, and Spanish, which is a fantastic combo when we're talking about Don Quixote, because Miguel de Cervantes was heavily influenced by all three languages, and that reflects in his work. And if you're a fan of languages and linguistics, you should definitely subscribe to this channel. So yeah, expect Don Quixote soon. Let me know if you have any questions. What is it that you want to know? Is it cultural context, historical context, or just the linguistics of it all and the writing? I'm open to suggestions always, and I'm so happy to have you here. This is a conversation. It's a two-way street. I want to know what you think. And, we have all the time in the world. Put in your orders. They'll get done eventually. I'm not going anywhere. Are you? I hope not. Anyway, enjoy your reading, and I'll see you next time.